You're standing on Pennsylvania Avenue in Westport. If you look around today, you'll see condos, parking lots, grocery stores, and hospitals. But if you close your eyes, you might hear the clap of wooden porches, the ring of a school bell, the hum of a hymnal drifting out of St. Luke AME. This was Steptoe, born in the shadow of slavery, built by freed men and women who turned wages and hope into land, homes, and community. And then, like so many black neighborhoods in Kansas City, it was quietly erased. I'm Michael Porter, and this is That Doesn't Make Sense. And today, we go to Kansas City, Missouri, to the Westport area, to talk to you about an erased civilization called Steptoe. Westport in the 1850s wasn't just a frontier trading post. It was a place where slavery was shaped in the streets. Inside Boone's store, run by Albert Gallatin Boone, grandson of Daniel Boone, pro-slavery meetings took place. Enslaved people passed through the doorways carrying barrels. Boone enslaved 6 to 8 people. His building still stands today, now Kelly's Westport Inn. Nearby, John Calvin McCoy, the so-called founder of Westport, allowed enslaved people to purchase their freedom at $3 a week. It was a cruel paradox. Even the path to freedom was monetized. Some of those who bought their freedom crossed Pennsylvania Avenue and began laying a foundation for a freedmen's neighborhood, the place that would become Steptoe. The land was officially platted as Pate's Addition in 1857 by Henry Clay Pate and backed by the wealthy Steptoe family in Virginia. The Steptoe name stuck, but the community would be shaped by the people who lived there, not the ones who claimed it. Soon, black families began buying lots between Jefferson and Warnell, 42nd and 44th Street. Names appeared on deeds: the Collins, Hamiltons, Hudson, Maupin, and the Eggington families. They weren't just buying dirt and timber, they were buying autonomy. In 1868, the community built Penn School at 4237 Pennsylvania, one of the first schools west of the Mississippi created for black children. Inside, chalk scraped on blackboards as teachers drilled lessons of reading and math, but also dignity and possibility. Then came the churches. St. Luke's AME Church in 1879, St. James Baptist in 1883. More than sanctuaries, they were organizing centers, places where freed people could meet, vote, sing, grieve, and rise together. St. Luke especially stood as a spiritual anchor, a place where freedom had a sound, a song, a future. By the turn of the century, Steptoe was alive with daily rhythm. Picture it: women hanging laundry on clotheslines between houses, men walking to jobs in nearby warehouses, a seamstress mending clothes by lamplight, children clutching books on their way to Penn School. The 1940 census showed something unusual for that time. Blocks in Steptoe were racially mixed, sometimes 50-50, black and white. It wasn't always harmonious, but it meant black and white families lived closer here than almost anywhere else in Kansas City. Then came the decline. Engineered, not accidental. In 1955, Penn School closed under desegregation. 12 years later, in 1967, it burned in a mysterious fire. Neighbors still recall smoke clouding the night sky, the smell of charred wood where their first school once stood. In 2003, demolition crews arrived at St. Luke AME Church. Descendants pleaded for preservation, but the wrecking ball swung away. The church that had baptized generations fell to rubble. Historian Joe Louis Maddox said in 2004, "If we don't fight to remember this space, it will disappear like we were never here." And he was right. On June 21st, 2022, the day after Juneteenth, Steptoe's fate repeated itself. Developers tied to St. Luke's health system brought in bulldozers. Historic homes, some of the last original structures of Steptoe, were flattened in hours. Descendant Leah Suddington stood and watched, saying, "They erased us again." The timing felt like an insult. Freedom celebrated one day, erasure the next. But the story doesn't end there. No. The Steptoe Lives Coalition, led by descendants and community activists, are still fighting back. They've renamed 43rd Terrace to Steptoe Street. They've laid heritage stones onto the streets and sidewalks. They petitioned for the neighborhood's place on Kansas City's African American Heritage Trail. Each marker says, "We were here, we are here still." Because memory is a form of resistance, and telling these stories is how Steptoe survives. Still, the work isn't finished. The tiles can be pulled up. The markers can be ignored. Unless the city chooses to act again, history remains at risk. Steptoe was more than houses. It was freedom carved into land. It was children learning, churches singing, families building for generations. Today you won't see it on a map, but memory is stronger than asphalt. We've told this story before in other cities about homes being cleared for progress. There's even more in Kansas City about homes being cleared for highways, about lives pushed aside by development. Steptoe is a part of that pattern. I'm Michael Porter, and this is That Doesn't Make Sense. We say the names, we mark the places, because if we don't, the silence becomes permanent. This episode of That Doesn't Make Sense was brought to life with the generous support of activists, photographers, and institutions who preserve Westport's history. Special thanks to the Missouri Valley Special Collections at the Kansas City Public Library, the Pendergast KC Project, the Historic Kansas City Foundation, the Harrison Kearney House, and so many others. Intro and outro music by Keto Bray. Sound effects and background music are from pixabay.com. I'm Michael Porter.